Do you know super blue blood moon incoming on Wednesday? In TwinCities.com, Mike Lynch is an amateur astronomer and professional broadcast meteorologist for WCCO Radio in Minneapolis, said. This Wednesday we're having an extremely rare astronomical event. It will be a super bloody blue moon all in the same 20 hours. It's been over 130 years since this last happened, and it won't happen again for a heck of a long time. The term blue moon has been around for hundreds of years, but in the last several years, two new slang names have been added to our lexicon regarding the moon: supermoon and blood moon. It's getting to be that we need a lunar scorecard. Let's take on one moon moniker at a time. Blue moon. No one really knows exactly when the term blue moon originated. In literature, it first showed up around 1600 AD in England during the time of William Shakespeare. Despite the name, it doesn't have anything to do with the color of the moon. It's also not a reflection of a sad mental state of Earth's lunar partner. A blue moon actually has to do with mathematical odds. The synodic period of the moon, or the total time of the phase cycle, is 29.5 days. That's the time between any particular phase of the moon, for example, the time between two full moons. The time between full moons is 29.5 days, but the average length of a calendar month is a little over 30 days. Because of that, we usually have only one full moon in any given month. Occasionally, we get two full moons in a month, and when that occurs, the second full moon is called a blue moon. On average, that only happens about every 2.5 years. Obviously, for it to happen you need to have the first full moon very close to the first of month and the blue moon near the end of the month. On January 2nd of this new year we had our first full moon of the month, and this Wednesday we'll have a blue moon. But that won't be our only blue moon in 2018. On March 1st, we'll have a full moon and a blue moon on March 31st. A blue moon in both January and March also means there will be no full moon in February. 2 blue moons in a calendar year only happens 4 to 5 times a century. The next time it happens won't be until 2037. Blood moon. This is now the hip slang term for any total lunar eclipse, mainly because during totality the moon becomes bloody red in color when it crosses into the Earth's shadow. Its original use came from biblical prophecy involving the end of the world. It just so happens that during the full blue moon Wednesday it will also turn into a blood moon, as we'll have a total lunar eclipse. The eclipse will take place early Wednesday morning. Lunar eclipses, or blood moons, occur when the moon, in its orbit around the Earth, passes through the Earth's shadow opposite the Sun, known also as the umbra shadow. This can only happen during a full moon, when our planet lies in a line between the Sun and Moon. But this doesn't occur every time there's a full moon because the Moon's orbit around the Earth is tilted by 5 degrees to the Earth's orbit around the Sun. Most of the time the full moon misses the Earth's shadow. It either passes above or below it. Not this time. Early Wednesday morning the moon will charge right into the umbra shadow and get bloody. The moon will enter the umbra at 5:48 a.m. as morning twilight begins. It will be completely in the umbra at 6:51 a.m. and the bloody totality begins. Unfortunately, right as the moon makes it to the middle of the Earth's shadow it will also be setting below the northwest horizon, with the sun rising shortly thereafter in the east. The good news for bloody moon fans is that the moon in the umbra combined with the usual reddening of the moon when it's close to the horizon will make the moon extra bloody. Supermoon. Not only will the full moon be a bloody blue moon, it will also be considered a supermoon. Back in 1979, astrologer Richard Nall coined the term, which has become widely used and loved. Nall arbitrarily defined a supermoon as a full moon that occurs when the moon is within 90% of its closest approach to Earth in any given orbital cycle. In order for a full moon to earn the right to be called a supermoon, it has to be within 226,000 miles of Earth. The Moon's 27.3-day orbit around the Earth is not quite a perfect circle, but rather an ellipse. Because of that ellipse shape, every month the Moon has a minimum distance to the Earth at just over 221,000 miles called perigee, and at a maximum distance dubbed apogee at nearly 253,000 miles from our terrestrial home. Apogee and perigee don't coincide with a particular phase of the Moon, because the period of the Moon's orbit around Earth is more than 2 days shorter than the cycle of phases, otherwise known as the synodic period. The full moon Wednesday will be right around 224,000 miles from Earth, earning it the right to be called a supermoon, at least according to Richard Knoll. Without a doubt the moon will be a little bigger and brighter in the sky than a usual full moon, but only about 7% larger and 15% brighter than average. I wouldn't exactly call that super, but who am I to get in the way of media hype? In my opinion, the hype is the result of the large appearance any full moon has when it's close to the horizon around rising and setting times. This is an optical illusion that I'll tell you about in another column.